Hello. Today we are going to go over how to create a customer or an account in PressWise. There are a lot of settings that we're going to go over, so I will timestamp every different setting in case you want to jump around and just learn more about a setting that you're trying to use or understand how it functions within the system. So we're just going to jump right into it. You're going to log into PressWise and click on the customer page here. And you're going to click on add new customer. I'm going to create one for my own business. This can be the business name, it can be the individual's name, and you can change this later on. So if you're worried that, you're going to start with the individual and actually it's going to be for a business, you can update the account name later. After you've typed in the name, you'll click add new customer, and we're going to go over these settings up at the top. So the first setting is the add new order setting. You just click on this and it will start a new order under that account. The order button will show you a list of all orders that the customer has created. Right now, this is a brand new account, so there's 0 orders. The new quotes button will create a new quote under the account. The quotes button here will show you the list of all existing quotes under the account, which again, it's new, so there's 0. The address book is a really useful function. If you have a client that has multiple delivery locations, you can put all of their addresses within this area. And what this will do is keep track of them and you can pull them into orders as you need them. The catalog is more for the storefront functionality. If you are not currently paying for the storefront module, it's really not useful for you. You can still build templates without the module, but this is where you would handle the customer's custom storefront templates. The assets is, again, it's something really useful for the catalog side of the system. It can handle all of the different like logos, background images, that kind of stuff when building all the parts and pieces to catalog items for their storefront. The files is a place where you can store files that are related to that customer. I believe, again, if you have the storefront module, the customer can log in and upload files for you. Say the customer wants to upload a data list separately or upload artwork separately, they can go in, log in, and upload here. The notes tab, this is a really cool new feature. You can actually make notes that are user specific. So say you're working with an account that has a lot of different people placing orders and you want to make specific notes about specific orderers, right? Saying so and so order is a little bit more color critical. So those things are notes that you can take about those users within the account. The last piece is the history. The history is really more of a admin function. Admins managing the system will really like this tool. What this keeps track of is any changes on the account side. So say somebody changes the account from an account that gets taxed to an account that doesn't get taxed. This will show those changes that the users made. Now, when we look at all of these different fields, there are a lot of fields in the customer account page, and you don't necessarily need every single field for creating an account. My previous team, it would take us like 5 minutes to create an account because we're really only filling out about 5 to 10 of these fields. But you may utilize some of these fields depending on the customer situation or maybe what you're doing with marketing. So we're going to go through all of these, and at the end, I will put a timestamp on the process I recommend of kind of the bare minimum of setting up your account. So first off, we have the C number here. This is the account ID. This is a unique ID that PressWise gives the account that you will never see anywhere else in the system. So only this customer will have the account number C661. Below that is the account name. This is what we set it when we were creating the account. You want to change it, all you have to do is unlock it and update the name. Then we have the status. This is if the account is active or inactive. The status is super useful, say if a business that you are working with goes out of business and they're obviously not going to order with you going forward. You can set their account to inactive so that when you're searching through your customer list, they don't show up as an option to say create new orders. The credit limit and credit hold are tools for your accounting team. You can set credit limits for customers. And what PressWise does is at the end of the day, it checks the outstanding balance of the customer. If the customer has more than $5,000 in outstanding invoices, because I've set this to 5,000, this credit hold button will be turned on automatically. PressWise will do that for you. What this credit hold button does is it prevents you from putting a new order in production because right now the customer has more invoices outstanding that are unpaid than what their credit limit allows them. You can obviously manually turn this on and off if you want. So PressWise turns it on automatically for you and you go, well, I'm going to let them do one more invoice. You could come in here and turn this button off so that you could put the job into production. Misc Account ID is just miscellaneous account ID. This is if you have some other system that's connected to the client, you can use this field for that purpose. The type field is a custom field. On the admin side of the system, you can update what you see here in the type field. Really, do you need it? That's kind of an internal process. Some of the out of the box options that PressWise brings that I think are pretty good options are, is this customer a retail customer or do they get wholesale pricing? So there could be some use for this, and it's really more for the reporting side of your business versus any kind of like functionality. The marketing source and marketing group also, again, we're getting into reporting and having data sets that you can look at to make decisions. So marketing source is really just your lead source. Where did this customer come from? This is a custom field as well. You can go in and add lead sources or remove lead sources as you need. And the marketing group is if you want to put customers in buckets to let your marketing team know how you want to communicate with them. So really good example here could be you have a lot of customers that are restaurant owners. And restaurant owners are likely doing direct mail campaigns, postcards, menus, flyers, signage. You may want to advertise to them with those products. Whereas you also have a huge group of real estate agents that you want to put all in one bucket. And for them, you're marketing to them yard signs, flyers, brochures, business cards. So that's what the marketing group for and marketing source is for. It's for your marketing team to kind of decide how you want to classify the customer as well as how you want to market to them. And this is, again, it's just a data set so that when your marketing team is pulling out your customer list, they can easily figure out who's who. Next, we have a couple of more accounting settings. So we have payment terms, allow CC payment, sales tax, taxable, resale, and resale expiration date. So these are all things that your accounting team is probably going to be involved in this. Payment terms, these are again custom fields that you can set on the back end. There are some out of the box options that PressWise provide that I think are excellent. They have credit card, prepaid, and then some net terms between net 50, 30, 60, or COD. If you're not familiar with these terms, net 15 just means once the job is delivered, the client is expected to pay the invoice 15 days after the delivery, or it's considered late payment. Same thing for 30. That's 30 days after delivery is expected payment, 60 days after delivery expected payment. Credit card and prepay, they've got two prepayments in here, but credit card and prepay are the order cannot go into production until there's some sort of payment that is collected, whether that's via credit card, prepay. The COD is check on delivery. So all the nets and the COD will allow you to put the jobs into production without payment because it's expecting payment either on delivery or so many days after delivery. And this is something you'll work with your accounting team to decide client by client, right? Do you want them to pay ahead or do they want to be on net terms? A recommendation from me is every client pays ahead unless they have passed some sort of credit check by you. Whether that credit check is having a long-standing history with you of good payment, or it is an actual form that the person fills out and it has references and things like that to let you know that, yes, they are a new client, you've never worked with them before, but they have references that will vouch for them to say that they are good payers, right? The allow CC payment. This is going to be hidden if your client's payment terms are credit card, because by default, you will have to pay credit card if your payment terms are credit card. But if you are any other payment terms, this feature becomes available. And that is just so that if a client is net 30, they can choose to pay by check, but you can also give them the option by clicking yes here to pay with credit card. This just gives the client more ways to pay for your invoices to them. Sales tax item. This is part of PressWise has a tax module that comes out the box with it. You really don't need to do anything. It updates automatically. You can, by default, it automatically taxes the client based off of their ship to address. But if you wanted to, you could go in and override it and give them some sort of manual taxing. I don't recommend that. Let PressWise do that work for you. I highly recommend just leaving this on automatic. So taxable. This is if the client should be charged sales tax on their orders or not. There are going to be a couple different instances of if a client is taxable or not. You should get that information from your client directly. You should not decide for them. They should provide you with some sort of documentation of taxability. You may have resellers that have reseller vendor numbers, or you may have nonprofits. So if they are, say, a nonprofit, you would set it to taxable no, and then you can upload their resale information or type in their resale number here. For nonprofits, I just type in the number that the federal government gives them that shows that they're a nonprofit. They should be able to give you documentation for that. And then there is the resale expiration date. This is, again, an option for your accounting team to decide. Some printers like to have customers send them their tax exempt forms at least once a year. So you can kind of set the expiration date, whatever that may be. This is more of an internal process and something you should discuss internally with your team or with your CPA on how, if you should have an expiration date or not. Basis discount is a function that can be really good if you work with a lot of companies that are reselling your work. So you're a trade printer and you work with other printers. You can come in here and you can say, well, no matter what they order, I want to give them 15% off and say that's your discount price. The way that this works is you would create the line item and it shows the 15% discount on the back end, but the front end does not see the discount. There's kind of pros and cons there. Clients not being able to see the discount sometimes may cause confusion. There are other ways to give discounts. You can create a coupon for certain clients. The only downside with coupons is you have to apply them every single time that you create an order for the client. Whereas the basis discount gets applied automatically for you. So with this, I would say be careful with the basis discount and then kind of decide what makes the most sense for your team and their needs. Discount substrate. This setting, how this works is if you have it set to yes and you put in a discount on a line item, it will discount the substrate also. I will say industry standard is no on this one. I would recommend switching this to no. Most shops that I work with do not discount their substrate because they already have a very small margin on their substrate. If you have a large margin on your substrate, maybe the yes is fine. But yeah, if you're looking at anywhere from, a 30% to a 60% margin on your substrate, I would highly recommend turning off the discount substrate feature. The ship method is the default ship method for every order. And the way that this works is whenever you create a new order, it just assumes whatever ship method you have here. This is one of those, you really should have the setting set up because it is going to affect the speed and efficiency of your team. You can change the ship method. So say 90% of the time the client does UPS ground, but 10% of the time they do customer pickup. You can have it set to UPS ground and say the one order that you have, they want customer pickup. You just switch it over to customer pickup and it's really easy to do. Next, we have the sales rep, CSR, and designer. I want to focus specifically on the sales rep and the CSR. I highly recommend assigning users. This is where you would assign your internal users. So for example, I'm going to say Cassandra is the sales rep for this account. In the CSR, I'm going to make Raul, right? What The reason why I really recommend this, there's two parts of it. The operation side of it is by assigning it to individuals, you are making it their responsibility to make sure those accounts are taken care of. If you don't assign it to anybody and you're like, well, everybody's in charge of this account. If everybody's in charge, that means nobody's in charge. So clear responsibility and clear ownership is really good, just operational practice. But the second reason is there's a functionality within PressWise. What PressWise does is it can notify your CSR and your sales reps when orders have delivered, when clients have approved artwork, when clients have made payments. If you do not have these assigned and they are set to house account or blank, PressWise Go assumes everybody is involved with this account. And what it does is it sends everybody an email. And you may be thinking that's great. I want everybody to get an email, but it just sows so much more confusion within your shop by having everybody get an email instead of having specific people get email and specific people having responsibilities. So these are two records I really highly recommend, and I push that you fill these out and assign them to specific users. So I'm just going to assign both of them to me for now. The designer does not function that way. So there are no emails that the designer gets that updates them about the client at all. This is more of an internal keeping track of who's responsible for what kind of thing. If you do have multiple designers and you want to assign those designers specific accounts, you can do that to again give some sense of accountability to your team. The order contact is going to pick from a list of users, and we will talk about users later. They are down here. But the order contact is your default order contact. So whenever you create an order, just like the shipping method, who is the person we're assuming the order is being created by? Who's asking to place this order? The order contact will get overridden if, say, in a quote, you say somebody different requested the quote. If you convert a quote to an order, it will take whoever's in the quote. But if you're coming up here and you're just clicking new order from scratch, it will pick whoever is in this order contact bucket as your order contact. The branding profile is a storefront setting. This is going to affect the look and feel of the storefront. There is a whole can of worms to get into with the storefront module. It is a very big part of the system. I don't want to get too deep in it, but it's really mostly like visuals. What do the emails look like that the customer receives? But that if you don't have the module, you don't need to worry about it. Just leave it as inherit from group. We have customer profile notes and order notes here. These are backend notes. Customers do not see them. They are private and only for your team. So the profile note will only display here on the profile. And the customer order note will display on every single order that you create. A really good use case for this is if your customer has a very specific Pantone that they're looking for, or say the customer is color critical, you can put that information in here and it will show up on every single production ticket that you create. And what's nice about that is if they do have a Pantone color that you're trying to color match in production, your production team will see that on the ticket every single time. So you don't have to type that every single time to remind them. Order statistics, this is a new function within the system. It's pretty cool. It just kind of tells you how much the client has ordered and how much revenue you've generated from that account. So it's just a nice little stat block for you. Storefront options, there is a lot going on here. Again, if you don't have the storefront module, you can skip over it and come back to it when you decide to get it. But I'm going to go through each one of these settings to break it down for you. The order details here just shows the customer more or less information about the orders. I think it includes like finishing tasks if you do the extended. If not, it just shows you a very generic, general status of each line item. So it's in production, it's been cut, it's been printed, it's been boxed, what those main statuses within PressWise. Customer pickup, this can override your customer pickup zone. So on the admin side, you can set a list of zip codes that are accessible for customer pickup. And if you want to override that and say, well, this customer lives 2 hours away, but they're willing to drive the 2 hours to pick up, you can always allow customer pickup for this particular customer. So you kind of override that major admin setting. Online estimator. This one, I really recommend turning off. There is a global setting that you can do on PressWise to just hide the estimator. That's what I would recommend because it's a little bit easier than trying to remember to turn it off on every customer's account. The reason why I recommend turning it off is the estimator tool is really meant for someone who knows how print is produced in your shop specifically, and customers typically don't know that. So it requires customers to think of all the finishing tasks they need and that kind of sort of stuff. And it's a nice tool in theory, but it's not to the point that I think it's a great tool to use right now. The public catalog is something, again, that you can share with customers. So customers can have their own custom catalog that has their unique designs in it. And in addition to that, they can have access to your public catalog. And your public catalog could be more generic, upload your business card design or upload your trifold brochure design. You can have control over whether the client sees those generic designs as well as their custom design. Choose user. This setting will let you do something very specific within the storefront system. So a good example is business cards. Say you have, 50 different users and the HR person of this company places the order for business cards for those 50 users. In a template, you can let the HR person choose from a list of all the users and pick the user, and it'll auto populate their information so they can place the order a little bit faster than having to hand type information into the storefront templates. You can allow them to do that, or you can turn that functionality off, or only give it access to certain user groups can do it. But for this, I would honestly just leave it enabled because you can control that on the template level. Reorder, this one I think is a great feature, and leaving the default makes the most sense. It allows customers to see a button when they've placed an order to reorder something that they've ordered in the past. Item prices. This is, do we want to show the customer the item prices or not? You can set up a whole storefront system where they don't see the price until you're ready to send the invoice, or the invoice gets sent automatically through the shipping system. You can choose to hide pricing. I will say hiding pricing kind of defeats the purpose of having the storefront in the first place. Customers like to see the pricing before they place order. Invoices, again, customers can log in on the storefront system and download invoices. You can choose to hide the ability for them to download invoices. You might turn this on if you're hiding pricing and your invoicing gets adjusted later on down the process. But for the most part, the whole purpose of the storefront system is transparency with your customer. So I don't know why you would really dig into this like hide invoicing side of the system. Order confirmation. This is just sending information to your CSR or your salesperson that orders have come in. There are other ways to set this up as well. My previous company, we did distribution groups and we just CC'd that distribution group. So we had a storefront distribution group that received all emails of any new storefront orders that came in. But you can also manually set it per account that the CSR gets notified. And then the new user token, this is a unique link that you can share with the customer anytime they want to create a new user themselves. You can manually create users down here, but you can also just send them the link and say, hey, this is how you create a new user for your account. I'll just click on it so you can see it. Yeah, this is what it looks like. It will look very similar to you creating a new user manually on the back end, but it just has them do the work instead of you doing the work. And then this is just an expire token for the new user. It gets refreshed every 90 days here. A site logo, it's really cool functionality. You can upload the client's logo here. I'm going to actually do a little test here. Let's see if it works. So it says it was successfully uploaded. I'm going to refresh. Yep, there's the logo. And I'm going to turn the resale back to taxable. And I believe when you log in, it's supposed to swap out the logo, but I don't think, because I don't have a user, it's not gonna work. But this would how it's supposed to work is it swaps out this logo up here with your customer's logo. That way you don't have to build an entire branding profile you can just swap out the logo and then the client feels like it's more custom to them. The QuickBooks export preferences, these are a little bit more details on how you want customers to receive invoices. By default, PressWise will send invoices when the order has been reconciled, so during the shipping process. But if for some reason you want to print their invoice later or email them the invoice later, that's what these two functions do for them. Now get into adding a new user. So new users have a ton of fields as well. There are really only a few bare minimum fields you need to look at when creating a new users. You do have to create a login, ID, and password, even if you don't have the storefront module. Partially, this is because if you do activate the storefront module, it doesn't break anything, but they are just required fields for PressWise. For me, I keep it really simple. I will just do the customer's email. So I'll do test@test.com just so you guys can see it. And then the password is whatever you want to set it to be. It just needs to, you just need to enter it twice. So I'm going to just do, and then you can view it and just copy and paste it here. You can have the customer reset at their next login. If you do have the storefront module, very useful tool here. The other two fields that are absolutely required, even though they only say they're recommended, is the name field and the email field. What is nice about the name field is in your automated emailing tools, it does use the name field to address the customer. So it will look at this first name and it will say, Cassandra, wanted to let you know that your order shipped, or Cassandra, we need approval for your artwork. I always recommend having the name field filled out. And then the email field, it says recommended, but you need this field filled out. So test@test.com. And the way that this works is this is for the user to log in. But this tells PressWise where to send emails. That's why this field really should be required, but they just set it as recommended if you're not using the emailing tool. From here, you can fill out these other fields, but you don't really need them. The only other one you may need to mess with is this permissions. If you have the storefront system, you may want to make this user an admin. Or the opposite, you may want to only give them ordering capabilities, but not approval or admin capabilities. But other than that, the rest of the fields are optional, and then you'll just click add down here. Another setup I see often is accounts payable in orders. So you can add another user for accounts payable, and we'll do that same thing. So we'll do AP at, and we'll copy this. And same thing. I'm going to take their email and paste it here. And then I'm going to give them a name. So like accounts payable. Very common setup for larger companies that have a different person handling invoices versus the person placing the order for the storefront system. So we've got a couple users put in. The first thing we kind of have to go backwards to is the order contact. I'm going to set it to me. And what this just means again is if I create a new order, it's going to set Cassandra Murray as the default order contact unless I otherwise say it's somebody else. The billing preferences, we'll start with the aging statement. This just really tells you how much outstanding money this client has. So as you create invoices for them and the invoices are unpaid, this will create a big aging statement. A big thing I highly recommend to anybody getting into PressWise is keep track of your customers' payments in PressWise and then transfer that information to your accounting software. PressWise has QuickBooks integration, and it does connect directly with QuickBooks, so you can just export from PressWise into QuickBooks. You have a lot of control there, but what's nice about this aging statement and some of PressWise's accounting features is your entire team has visibility on money that clients owe you. And then it can help your accounting team catch stuff faster, right? So instead of putting everything on your accounting team to collect payment from customers, you can task customer service reps to help collect payment from customers or sales reps to collect payment from customers. It's just a very good visibility tool. So I really recommend tracking payments in PressWise and then transferring that data over to your accounting software. These billing preferences are your billing contact. So this could be the same as your order contact, but in this particular account, I have an accounts payable. So I'm saying send my invoices to accounts payable. They are my billing contact. Print invoices. This is again just some information for your accounting team. Do they need to print invoices or are we going to send them digitally? Require PO is exactly what it sounds like. When you create an order, you have to put in a PO number. This will make it so that you cannot put the job into production unless there is a PO number. Obviously, by default, most accounts you probably don't need a PO for, but I have heard horror stories from clients where they have very particular customers that require POs, and if you don't have POs on the invoices, they will not pay them. So, this is just a good way to make sure that your team dots their I's and crosses their T's and does everything correctly for the account. You can set in a default PO number too if you wanted to. This is just, an option for you. Say the client always starts their PO with 2 letters or 2 numbers or whatever that might be. You can at least fill in that part for your team so that then they can fill in the rest of the PO number. Require project name, exactly like how the require PO works. It won't let you put the job into production unless there is a PO. But for this particular client, I don't need a PO, so I'm just gonna leave it off. Use account codes. This is more advanced accounting stuff. Most shops that I work with don't really need this functionality. If you do, I recommend reading more deeply into the KB articles on how this works. Use custom order field 1 and 2. This is just to allow you to have some additional custom data for each order, and you can set that data to whatever you want it to be. I don't really have a good use case off the top of my head, but say the client's like, besides a PO and a project name, I need you to include this specific contract number, right? So you could go contract number, and then you could say, give it a description if you wanted to, right? I think contract number is clear enough for your team, but if you need to add a little more detail, you could here. So then what happens is every order that you create, it will also have a contract number. And you can choose to make this required as well. So if the client's like, we will not pay you if there's not a contract number on there, you can set that field to be required, just like you can require the PO field. Invoice to, you can choose to invoice to the billing contact, which is who we set up here, and the order contact. The order contact will be case by case, so whatever you have on the order. But you can also say, no, I just want invoices to go to the billing contact because it's accounts payable. The order contact doesn't need to see the invoice. Ship notifications, same thing. Do you want the billing and order contact to get it? Do you want the billing contact to get it? Do you want the order contact to get it? Or nobody get it? You have those options. In this case, I'm going to say whoever ordered the job, I want them to notify when it ships. Ship notifications to sales and CSR. You can turn this on and off. You can also decide if you want the sales and CSR to also see the invoice that was created at the time of the shipment. I find this to be super useful. You can build a lot of systems and processes around it. So your CSR gets notified that an order is shipped. Maybe part of their job is to collect all of the tags and ticket information and then give that to accounting, right? Saying like, okay, this is done. Here's all my documentation from production. Statements too, same thing. You just have some control over aging statements. Those are up here. Your client has an aging statement. You can have it send the aging statement to billing contact, billing and order, or just the order contact. No email notifications. So what this does is it kind of overrides all of this and it will not send the client any email. There are some instances where you may have a very particular client that they're doing a ton of ordering throughout the week and they go, I only want to get one invoice. I do not want to get, 50 invoices in 1 week. One invoice for all 50 different orders that we placed. You can turn the no email notification on, and then that lets you have the ability to manually process the invoices instead. The only thing I would say about the no email notification is really try to avoid it. You want to let PressWise do that work for you. You want PressWise to automate as much of your workflow as possible. For me at my old shop, we had over 1,000 different customers and only 3 customers had this setting on. So that just gives you some context of let PressWise automate your process. Let PressWise make your life easier. and let your team focus on more important work, not the work that can be automated. API notifications and preferences. This is if you are using other external tools that are connected to PressWise and you want them to be able to send shipping notifications and invoice notifications. Bill 2. You need to fill out the bill 2 and you need to fill out the ship 2. You especially need to fill out the ship 2 because the tax system does not work if there's no ship 2. If PressWise doesn't know where the job is being shipped, it does not know how to tax the invoice properly. So we're going to start with the bill 2. I'm just going to put in the company name again. And what's cool about this, I can add a phone number, extension, and a fax, but you can also verify the address, which is really nice. So if you have everything correct, it will update the zip and give it the +5. Very nice functionality. It's connected to the USPS database, so it does not verify international addresses, unfortunately, but that's something that you can do manually. After the bill 2, we definitely want that ship to make sure that things are going to be taxed correctly. And what's nice is you can pull the bill 2 if it is the same address. But you can also put a custom address into the chip too. Group membership. Groups are really cool functionality, and PressWise groups can control a lot of things. So you can take a ton of different clients and put them in a bucket together, which is called a group. And groups can have custom catalogs, they can have custom discounts, they can have custom shipping methods. There's a lot of things that you can do with groups. Very useful if, say, you focus on a specific vertical and offer specific things to those verticals. So if you work with a lot of restaurants and you want a custom catalog for restaurant owners where they can log in and order things that are more prominently ordered by restaurant owners, or if you want to give them a discount, a special discount because you offer some sort of promotion for restaurants working with you. That's where groups can really shine for your business. Mailing profile, this is if you have the mail module in PressWise. PressWise does have functionality where you can pre-sort mail within PressWise, so you don't have to go to any external software. Really cool functionality. It is fairly light though, so it's also not merging your data. So you're still going to need another tool for that. But it is nice, especially if you're just dipping your toes into mailing. It's way more user friendly than some of the more extensive mailing software. But yeah, it's a light version. Uh PressWise is owned by SmartSoft, and SmartSoft also owns Smart Addresser, which is essentially the software that PressWise is using. It's Smart Addresser Lite. But this just has all the clients like information that you need to verify with the post office that you have authorization to mail on their behalf. Shipper profiles are also a really good function. Specifically, I see them used most when the client says, "Hey, I want you to use my FedEx account or my UPS account or my USPS account." That's shipper profiles. They're on the admin side. You generate them there and then you can search them up and pull them in there. Another good use of shipper profile is blind shipping. So if the customer is like, "Hey, when you ship, I want to make it look like it shipped from me." You can do that with shipper profiles. And again, you can put in the customer's account numbers for shipping, or you can ship blind but still bill the customer for the shipping. Add finishing tasks. This is a newer feature that's been rolled out within the last year. What's really cool about this feature is if you have a specific task associated with this client that you want to be able to pull in to orders easily, you can do that here. So I don't see a huge use case for it on the client side, but this functionality is also tied to products and to substrates, which I find super useful. So you can say every single brochure needs to have the cut, pack, and trifold finishing task that we have in our system. Or every business card needs to have the cut and pack finishing task. Or every booklet job needs to have, cut, folate, saddle stitch, pack tasks. That's how this works. This is specifically just for the customer level. If you want to associate finishing tasks with products, you'll need to go to the admin side and look at the product side and add finishing tasks on those specific products. So I don't really see a ton of use case for this for customers, but there is some use cases for the other parts of the system this feature functions in as well. But that's it. This is really that was a lot of information when we talk about all the different settings you have here. Now I want to go over the SOP that I have written up. I will have a link to the SOP so that you can take it, share it with your team, modify it for your guys' needs, but we're going to walk through this SOP. So the SOP is really just the meat and potatoes. Like, what is the bare minimum I need to create an account? We don't need to touch all of these settings for every single account, but there are some settings that definitely should be touched every time that we create an account. So the first thing I would say to your team is they should be searching for the account before they create an account. And this just prevents duplicates. So if I'm going to create an account for Unlucky Umbrella Studios, instead of clicking this add new account button over here, I'm going to search first. So I'm going to go in here and just search the name Unlucky, right? What comes up? Something's here, right? I'm going to now not create an account. So that would be the very first step in your process. The second step is going over some of the major settings that you should probably set for just about every customer. Obviously, we have to create the account name if we need to create the account. So that's default. The type may be important for your team, but again, this is your process, so you may not need that. Payment terms you do need, and that may require your accounting team to get involved. The allow credit card payment, if they are net terms or COD, allow credit card payment, for me, I think should always be set to yes, just to prevent any confusion. If this is set to no and you ask the client to pay for credit card and send them the payment link, it will not let them pay by credit card. So having it set to yes just gives you more options to get paid by your customer. Sales tax items, automatic. Really, I don't recommend having you manually set these. You're kind of asking for trouble by doing that. Let PressWise do the work for you. And the taxable section does need to be filled out if the client is tax exempt. So setting those rules for your team is really important. Discount substrate. Again, industry standard, I would recommend having your settings be no on this one. By default, it is yes. So having a process for your team to remind them that that needs to be set to no is good. Ship method, that needs to be set. If it's not set, it will likely cause problems where the invoice isn't properly charging for shipping. So having a default shipping profile is a good idea for every single customer. We always want to set a sales rep and a CSR, again, to not get over communication to everybody, and also give people a sense of direction in who is accountable for what within your team. The next thing we want to talk about is you do want to have a bill to and a ship to. These are critical for the taxing tool to work correctly. If PressWise doesn't know where you're shipping to, it's not going to know how to tax the invoice. And then you could be stuck with paying the taxes yourself if you don't charge the client properly for taxes. And you always want to make users. So you have your order user. And if you have an accounts payable, you want to create that as a separate user as well. So you want to make a user for every single account you do. And then assign that user as your order contact and assign your billing contact as well. And then you want to just make sure your email preferences make sense to what your customers' needs are or their wants are. That is like the meat and potatoes. So if you notice, we really, there's probably like 50 plus settings on here, but we really only touched on about 10 of them. It's very overwhelming, but once your team gets comfortable with this page, it really should only take them about 5 minutes tops to create an account. And I'm big on creating an account for every single customer. Again, this depends on your shop, but if you have a customer walk-in account, I have seen some shops do okay with that, but a lot of shops really struggle when a customer, say, orders 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. And then they go, hey, like I ordered this from you a couple of months back. I want to reorder it. And then your team struggles to find that because a customer walk-in account can be very sloppily managed and it causes a lot of problems. It takes 5 minutes to create an account, especially when you're trained. You might even be faster when you're trained. But That's what I recommend, is create an account for every single customer that you have. And by creating an account for every customer you have, it also helps your marketing team. So you have more data and more people and more information to market to and to just look at to see how your business is performing. One other recommendation I do have though is PressWise doesn't really have a good tool to kind of put all of your leads in a bucket. So people who have not become customers yet, but they're asking for quotes. Creating a customer for every new quote that you're doing is cumbersome, and I do agree that it's cumbersome. So what I recommend in that case is creating an RFQ account. And I don't think there's one in here now. Let's see. RFQ. Yeah. So what I do recommend is for your leads, you put them in an RFQ account. And all the RFQ is request for quote, right? And then you can kind of use this account to manage leads that are coming in that are asking for quotes. That way you don't have to create a customer account for every new lead that comes in because now you're creating accounts for people that may not convert. And what's nice about this, the way that I recommend managing it is when the lead comes in and you're creating a quote, you can put all their information in this private note. So I'll be like, oh, okay, here's the person's name, here's their email, and then here's their phone number, right? So I have all the information, contact information I need to reach out to them and follow up on quotes if I need to. But now I'm not having to create a whole brand new account. But then once the client, say, approves the quote, the prospect approves the quote, you can easily move this quote into their newly created account when you make it. But that's the whole kit and caboodle for creating a customer under PressWise. It is a lot. If you've stuck around to the end and you managed watching the whole video, I really appreciate you sticking around. Any kind of like or comments, engagement is great for me. I really appreciate it. If you do have questions, throw them into the comment section and I will reply to them. I have been working with PressWise for over 10 years. I think I'm on like 13 or 14 years now working directly with PressWise. I do help other businesses set up their PressWise account, and I also help businesses clean up their PressWise account. So if that's something you're interested in and you want to learn more, don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can contact me on our website or you can just DM me here on YouTube. Thanks.